Baby, my father wants to meet you. The man who raised me, taught me valor, shaped me into the leader I've become. He has asked about the woman who has captured my heart with a quiet force I cannot explain. He watched me fall in love from afar, never intruding, but always observing. And now, his silence has turned into curiosity, his approval hanging in the air like the weight of legacy itself. I told him you were unlike anyone I had ever met. That you brought poetry back into my life, not the kind I write, but the kind I feel. He said, Hamdan, your eyes have changed. He noticed how I look beyond my duties now, how I listen to the wind and hear your voice in it. He noticed how I linger at the stables longer, not because of the horses, but because the scent of your perfume still haunts my robes. I didn't expect him to notice, but fathers do. Especially fathers who have led a kingdom and a family with both discipline and grace. He knows what love looks like even when unspoken. So I told him everything. About the first time I saw you, when the room disappeared and all that existed was the sound of your laughter. About the nights when I'd write poems just to get you out of my head, only to end up engraving your name deeper in my soul. I told him how you didn't chase royalty, you chased truth, and that's what won me. I told him you didn't melt under gold, but stood strong like it. I told him you weren't looking for a prince, but found the man beneath the crown. He smiled. Then said, invite her. Just like that. No resistance, no hesitation. I think he saw what I feel, something real, rare, royal in its own right. And baby, my heart thudded like a drum under war banners. My poems trembled on the pages, because that simple sentence meant you were being invited into more than just my world. You are being welcomed into the very roots of my legacy. Into the palace halls where I first walked, cried, and dreamed. You always asked me if my world would ever accept you. You always feared the divide between desert and diamond, between simple and sovereign. But here we are, the gates beginning to open, not by force, not by demand, but by love. And now I write these words with trembling hands, because this isn't just poetry. This is prophecy. This is the blending of two souls under the eyes of a man who has seen kingdoms rise and fall, and now wants to see his son truly happy. Baby, I imagine your hands shaking when you step into the palace, wearing grace like a veil. I imagine my father's eyes meeting yours, not with scrutiny, but with understanding. I imagine silence falling between you two, the kind that speaks of ancestors watching and blessings being passed down. And I will be there, standing between the two people I love most in the world. My father who gave me a name, and you, who gave that name purpose. I wonder if you know how proud I am. Not just of having you, but of introducing you. To walk through that golden archway with you beside me isn't just ceremonial, it's a poem I've waited a lifetime to finish. You are the last stanza, the perfect line that completes my existence. He will see that. I know he will. Because when a woman walks into a room carrying love with the humility of a servant and the courage of a queen, no royal blood can deny her presence. I told him you love wildflowers more than diamonds. That you'd choose a handwritten note over an emerald necklace. That your idea of richness is a night under stars with honest conversation. He said, then she is already richer than most princesses have met. He respects that. He always has. And now, he wants to see the woman who reminded his son that a throne means nothing if your heart remains empty. Baby, I remember once writing that I'd never let the world touch you. That I'd protect you from the storms of scrutiny and the tides of expectation. But now, I realize, maybe you were never meant to be hidden. Maybe you were born to shine in places where truth is often shadowed. My Father sees that. He wants to meet you because He wants to understand what made me come alive again. And He will. When He sees you, He will understand everything. There's something poetic in this unfolding. The son of a ruler presenting his love, not to a crowd, not to the court, but to the one whose opinion matters more than tradition itself. It feels like a love story carved in time, a page from a book written in royal ink but inspired by ordinary magic. I look at you and I don't see scandal, I see salvation. I see someone who taught me to rule my heart before I rule a nation. You once asked if I was afraid of what my family would think. The answer is no, not anymore. Because love that is true does not tremble. It stands tall even in the face of centuries of protocol. And now, my Father, the man who embodies the past, the present, and the future, is ready to meet the woman who changed the rhythm of my soul. That's not just acceptance. That's a miracle. He's a poet too, though he won't admit it. His verses are written in laws, in treaties, in leadership. But today, his poetry will meet mine. And you, my darling, are the rhyme we never expected. The soft line at the end of a strong stanza. The reason behind the rise and fall of my breath. And when he hears you speak, he will hear the echoes of the sun he raised, because I chose someone who makes me better, not just in the world's eyes, but in the quiet of my own heart. This is the moment when our stories intertwine publicly. No longer just in whispers, but in warm welcomes. And I promise you, I will be by your side through every step. I will guide you through the palace gardens, through the lineage and legends, and I will remind you that you do not need to fit in, you belong. Not because of who you were born to, but because of who you've become. So dress your heart in confidence, baby. Walk in with the grace I've always seen in you. Because the man you're about to meet is not just my father. He is the first gate, the last test, and now, your future admirer. And when he looks at you and smiles, know that the doors of my life have fully opened to you. Forever. Baby, I can already feel the anticipation humming in the palace walls. Everyone is preparing for your arrival, but they don't know that what they're truly preparing for is a shift in history. One where love isn't bound by expectations, but celebrated for its raw authenticity. I see the way the maids dust the chandeliers a little more carefully, how the chef asks what your favorite dish is, and how the guards stand taller by the gates. This is more than just a visit, it's an introduction to a new era, one where my heart finally feels seen in full daylight.